Hello, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World, and I'm your host, Jaralma Dushinjaral. Our top stories for today. The Maori Kravitz family donates Mongolian Empire and Genghis Khan research books to the American Center for Mongolian Studies. In Mongolia this year, there are about 6,300 children with disabilities studying in general education schools. Belarus President to visit Mongolia. For the news, stay tuned. The American Center for Mongolian Studies, or ACMS, has received a significant donation of over 120 rare and valuable books on the Mongol Empire and Genghis Khan from the family of Maori Kravitz. The donation ceremony was held this Thursday, and it becomes a substantial addition to the resources available for scholars and researchers in Mongolia. The ceremony was attended by representatives of the ACMS, National Library of Mongolia, and renowned scholars.
Maury Kravitz, an American historian and avid collector, amassed a collection of more than 400 rare books and manuscripts on the Mongolian Empire and Genghis Khan from various parts of the world. His family has chosen to donate over 120 of these works to the American Center of Mongolian Studies, ensuring that these precious resources will be accessible to both local and international scholars, young researchers, and the general public. As part of the cooperation with the ACMS, we will enable Mongolian study-related some 500 rare books and materials necessary for researchers via digital media. Today, we have exhibited some rare publications in the original version published centuries ago. Mongolian researchers can see and access these rare publications through this exhibition and later through our digitalization project. With the establishment of the new building of National Library, we set a new goal to introduce the sutras and manuscripts stored at our library to international Mongolian studies researchers and become an international hub for Mongolists. The publications and books exhibited here are rare books. These books have some notes and writings done by the owner, who was an avid researcher of the Mongol Empire and its history. It's a great contribution to young researchers and historians. The collection includes seminal works such as the first edition of Jacob Abbott's The History of Genghis Khan, published in 1860, Boyle's The Mongol World Empire, published in 1977, Haydn's Mysteries of the Gobi, written in 1933, and René Grousset's Conqueror of the World, The Life of Genghis Khan, published in 1966. These texts cover a wide range of topics related to the Mongol Empire, including its history, religion, politics, and the enigmatic life of the Genghis Khan.
The books are a part of the American Center for Mongolian Studies library, and through cooperation with the National Library, we're making them available for people to read. Yeah, so Maury Kravitz, had this long-term interest in Genghis Khan and came many times to Mongolia and worked together with several Mongolian scholars, including Professor Bira and Professor Ishdorj and others from the International Association of Mongolian Studies. And his interest was in the learning more about the history of Genghis Khan and his life, and then ultimately his burial sites. But so after he passed away, then he wanted his books to be returned to a place where people could read them and use them. And of course, Mongolia is the center of Genghis Khan studies, and it's very important that the books are returned to Mongolia. The books are primarily books in English or written by foreign authors, going back to, we saw, 1860, some of the early books about Genghis Khan. And so some of these books are books that maybe are not widely held in Mongolia, because of course during the pre-socialist and socialist period, then there was a limited access to the international scholarship.
In addition to these published works, the donation includes Maury Kravitz's personal book notes, rare autographed books gifted to him by Mongolian studies scholars, and valuable map appendices. This comprehensive collection provides a rich resource for ongoing research and study. Maury Kravitz's fascination with the Mongol Empire and the Chinggis Khan led him to invest $1.2 million in 2000 to search for the final resting place of the Great Khan. He spearheaded several expedition teams in this quest, demonstrating his deep commitment to uncovering and preserving Mongolian history. To celebrate this generous donation and promote the use of these materials, an exhibition will be held at the National Library of Mongolia. This exhibition, established under a Memorandum of Understanding between the National Library and the ACMS, will showcase the Kravitz collection for 1 month. Following the exhibition, the collection will be made available for research in collaboration with the Chinggis Khan Institute of Heritage and Culture. The donation from the Maury Kravitz family not only enriches the academic resources of the ACMS, but also honors the legacy of a historian deeply passionate about the Mongol Empire. This contribution is expected to significantly enhance the study and understanding of one of history's most fascinating eras.
Disabled children are actively engaged in a project aimed at understanding and implementing their rights. They face challenges in education due to accessibility issues and a lack of specialized support. However, the determination and advocacy for inclusive learning environments are paving the way for a more equitable education system. Over 60 disabled children in this room are actively engaged in a project aimed at learning about and implementing their rights. They have established a peer support group within their school and are collectively enhancing their knowledge. These children encounter numerous challenges in their educational journey, often stemming from minor developmental differences. For instance, Muhdilkir, a student at the Vocational Training and Production Center within the Rehabilitation Training Center, highlighted that his primary issue is the lack of accessible environments.
Having to deal with stairs every day is tough. Waiting for help sometimes for up to 30 to 40 minutes only adds to the challenge. People with disabilities are aware of their rights and can request help from higher authorities to solve these problems.
Amina, a 12th grade student at school 29th, lost her hearing ability 4 years ago. She shared that, although she attends a special school, the education provided to the children there is insufficient. Amina is worried that when she graduates from high school and begins university this year, there may not be a sign language teacher available for her classes. The state doesn't train specialized teachers for hearing-impaired children. This lack of sign language skills among new teachers leads to decreased interest in lessons among the children. I am preparing to take the general entrance exam this year. My biggest concern is that once I reach university, there won't be any teachers proficient in sign language at my school. The special education program at special school operates on a limited curriculum, which doesn't align with the university requirements. Consequently, after graduating from secondary school, these children are often compelled to pursue secondary professions like carpentry or cooking. Yet, many of these children harbor aspirations of excelling as doctors or scientists. However, Bilhung is deaf, so it's difficult to communicate with people unless they speak sign language. Therefore, he said that if the service providers have at least one person who knows sign language, they can get the service without any problems.
Deaf children often struggle with writing skills, leading to challenges in communicating with non-deaf individuals through written language. The cultural difference between the hearing and deaf communities further exacerbate this issue, resulting in contradictions and misunderstandings. Additionally, deaf individuals miss out on auditory information, contributing to gaps in their understanding.
Every child deserves the right to learn in a safe and supportive environment. When children are aware of their rights, they can actively engage and uphold these rights. Representatives from the students emphasized that limitations due to disability should not hinder the learning and development environment for students. Now let's take a look at Mongolian current affairs.
On the invitation of Mongolian President Hurusukhukhna, Alexander Lukashenko, the President of Belarus, will make a state visit to Mongolia from June 1st to 4th. This marks the first visit by a Belarusian head of state to Mongolia since the two nations established diplomatic ties on January 24th of 1992. During the visit, the presidents will discuss enhancing bilateral relations and cooperation in various social and economic sectors. Additionally, they will sign an agreement on friendly relations and cooperation and more than 10 other documents between their governments and organizations. During his visit to Hungary, the Secretary General of the Parliament of Mongolia, Dr. Ekpat Temden, signed a memorandum of cooperation with Gyur Sukh, Secretary General of the Office of the National Assembly of Hungary, on May 29th. Initiated by Zandan Shatar, the Speaker of the Mongolian Parliament, the agreement aims to enhance transparency, study parliamentary structures, compare legal frameworks, and exchange best practices. Both parties expressed satisfaction and emphasized the importance of strengthening inter-parliamentary relations. The visit included meetings with various Hungarian parliamentary departments to discuss educational programs, legislative processes, and administrative practices.
Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Next, our program will turn our attention to foreign news, partnered with international news agencies. The USS George Washington aircraft carrier, one of the jewels of the U.S. Navy, conducted joint operations with Argentina for the first time in over 14 years, marking a new strategic alignment between the two countries under the administration of President Javier Milei.
Accompanied by U.S. Ambassador to Argentina Mark Stanley, Argentine Foreign Minister Diana Mondino, and Argentine Defense Minister Luis Petri spent the day on the aircraft carrier, watching part of the operation that included the deployment of several F-18s and F-35 fighter jets.
I think it's a fantastic moment. President Milei says he wants to align with the United States. Right now, the military alignment, the financial alignment, the U.S. is still the largest investor in Argentina. It's not just about illegal fishing, it's not about China, it's about our two countries being in alignment.
Stanley said this is not about illegal fishing, not about China, easing concerns that the operation is related to the vast Chinese fishing fleet that scoops up untold amounts of short-fin squid in one of the world's largest unregulated fishing grounds just beyond the boundary of Argentina's 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone. Rear Admiral Alexis Walker, Commander Carrier Strike Group 10, said he expects China to operate within legal boundaries.
Encourage an open and free economy and commerce throughout the world. We are operating in accordance with national law, and we expect that our Chinese counterparts will do the same.
Argentine authorities have spotted numerous Chinese vessels turning off their tracking systems to avoid detection while fishing illegally in its waters over the years, once even firing shots into and sinking a trawler that tried to ram its pursuer near a whale breeding ground. Under a United Nations Maritime Treaty, to which China is a signatory, large ships must continuously use an automated identification system, or AIS, to avoid collisions, switching it off except in cases of an imminent threat, such as hiding from pirates, is a major breach that should lead to sanctions for a vessel and its owner under the law of the nation it is flagged. For Argentine Minister Petri, the maneuvers are transcendental. Last month, Argentina formally requested to join NATO as a global partner, a status that would clear the way for greater political and security cooperation at a time when the right-wing government of President Javier Milei aims to boost ties with Western powers and attract investment.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We will see you next week with more news and updates. Goodbye.